direct conversation, some deep reactions, please. All this comics narration ain't late me. A little more talk, a lot less read. A little fight, baby, is what I need. Close the trade, open up your brains. Explain it to me. Explain it to me, baby. Explain it to me.
Thank you, Vandello, and welcome once again to Rhett Conversations. My name is Josh Wasta, a.k.a. Fallout Fieri. And with me, oh man, you can't fight the Seether. It is Leia Cameron today. Leia, how you doing?
I spent my whole Saturday on this, and it's time of my life I can never get back.
Well, let's find out who's responsible for that. Our guest today is a very old and dear friend of yours, a more recent friend of mine since I started LARPing. We were for a very long time too similar to be in the same area at the same time.
Naturally antagonistic to each other, I think is the phrase.
It's true, yeah. It's kind of like if you ever met yourself and you're at that point in your life where you're kind of a dick, you're going to be a dick to yourself. It's Mr. Alan Pursell.
Really well.
Yes. Mr. Alan Pursell, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I push buttons.
Oh, you'll fit in very well.
I have no idea why this is such a controversy. It seemed like a very straightforward Captain America story, and I thought Leia was into that.
Oh, yeah.
So Steve Rogers is a national treasure, and we are too good to have him on this earth.
It's true.
Thank you, former friend Alan Pursell.
Also with us in the room, auditing, we have the entirety of Graphically Novel to hear this shit. So Bear and the Baroness and Jennifer Howland are both in the room, in the house, to listen to this crazy ass fucking
I
story.
just came to listen to Leia rant.
I'm here for the fucking train wreck.
I want to see the soul die.
Thanks. I'm glad everyone is like really invested in me feeling terribly.
We're here to help you get through it, Leia.
Okay, I appreciate that.
We're here to help you process
They're
your
here to
anger
help you
and
get through
grief.
it, Leia.
I'll need all the help I can get. This story
Well, first of all, let's just say out loud, this story is Secret Empire, the 2017 Nick Spencer crossover summer event from
Hail
Marvel.
Hydra.
It begins.
Yep, and just for anybody that, first of all, if this is your first episode of Rat Conversations, either you wanted maximum damage or you probably don't belong here. This is the way the...
Or welcome.
Yeah, you know. Hi, how's it going?
Welcome,
Or
but
it's
maybe
an
start on
inherent
episode
flaw in
1.
Sequential comics that Marvel and DC produces. And that in order to really understand the context of a lot of them, you have to pay attention to like 60 years of history. And I get what you guys try and do, and I appreciate it. It's like, is this thing that you just spent 25, 30, 40 bucks on worth enough to read and give you all the context and give you all the knowledge that you need to appreciate the story or to make you feel like it's money well spent? And so I am looking forward to that answer.
So instead, we will give it to you for free.
Yeah. Spoilers ahead.
Yes. So this is how this show goes. Leia Cameron, Professor L, will be the lecturer today on Secret Empire. She will kind of break down how the storyline goes, give you bullet points. She won't get into absolutely everything. We do, if you do enjoy the overall story, any of them that we do on this show, we do want you to go and read the graphic novel. There is a lot to still be picked up there. If Alan has any questions, comments, smart-ass remarks, this show is going to be a 3-parter. He can pull
How long do we have? Sorry.
Yeah, right. We have as long as we take, buddy. He can pull the emergency brake on the show and ask that question, make that comment, whatever he wants to do. If it is a question, it will be thrown to me as the associate professor, Professor J. If I can't answer it, I might throw it back to Leia to see kind of what she was thinking. And since we have 2 people in the room, if neither of us have an answer, we will throw it to Bear and Jen.
Oh, this will be a joy.
Jen sometimes just makes up answers, sometimes. And if they don't have anything, if it is just something that all of us are gobsmacked, all of us are going to put up our hands, give jazz hands and spirit fingers, and go, comic book!
Yes.
So,
And
Professor
there's a
Eller,
lot of that.
are you ready for this?
I guess I got to do it.
Let's rip the Band-Aid off. You can do it, girl.
Floor
You
is
put it on the
yours.
list. I'm going to be honest. You put it on the list, and you had to.
It's true.
I
you
didn't
had
put it on
to
the list.
know.
I did not put that there.
It sounds a lot like our list.
Yeah, it does.
Like, we didn't put RIPD on the list.
The list exists because it's a thing.
It's a list that's made by you.
So really,
So,
it's Josh's fault. Let's
Yep.
Yeah.
stop that.
I don't know who put it there, but they're in trouble.
As for most of my LARP career, I'll split the blame between you and me, Alan.
Yeah, okay.
So this book, written by Nick Spencer in the year of our Lord 2017, it is exceptionally fucking long for no goddamn reason at all. Completed collection is what, 518 pages, Josh?
Yep.
Yeah. So as a result, because it is so long and there's a lot of nonsense that's going in there, Josh mentioned it briefly, but I want to reiterate, my notes on this are basically bullet points. I will not be going in depth on a lot of stuff. Frankly, a lot of it is nonsensical and doesn't need to be drilled down into too deep. Otherwise, again, we would be here for like 6 hours straight. And I don't want to talk about this any longer than I absolutely have to. So that being said, we will get started. This series comprises, I think, a dozen issues total, including like a free comic book day issue and an issue 0.
Yep.
There's also one issue in here that's thrown in from the Captain America Steve Rogers run, I believe, that's like a critical component to understanding the rest of the story. So it's like, I guess, 13 issues total. I'm saying all this because I really don't want to start talking about it. But there's your background on this series. So we start off in issue 0, which is basically the world building issue, where Captain America's memories have been rewritten by the sentient cosmic cube Kobik in order to make him believe that he's been a Hydra sleeper agent all this time. On Earth, the Chitauri are heading out to attack Earth, and Steve is put in charge of Earth's defense forces as like the, I guess, commander of the entire collective of Earth's defense. So he sends out Captain Marvel and an assortment of other space folks to deal with it. Josh, if you would do me a favor, and I didn't write down every single character's name, but if you want to like read off some of the folks that were in the space segment.
Sure. Well, the ones that are going to be really important here are Captain Marvel, Quasar, who is the newer Quasar, a young woman who has just kind of adopted her powers, and Jane Foster, Thor. There are a lot of others, the Guardians of the Galaxy around. There's a lot of Space Marvel happening here. But as for points that will be important to the story, those 3 women are driving things back on Earth.
Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Is Black Bolt among them?
No.
Okay.
Black Bolt is...
I have a question.
Yes.
I thought Steve Rogers... One, you say Steve Rogers memories were written by who? Who did that?
The Cosmic Cube in conjunction with the Red Skull.
Okay. And the Cosmic Cube is being represented how?
As a little girl.
Yep.
Okay.
A little girl.
It is a
Because
sentient...
wasn't he an old man?
I guess.
All right.
Yeah, at some point, the Cosmic Cube reinvented itself as a little girl. This is pre this storyline and not in anything that I have specifically read.
Yeah. Same
Okay.
here.
But yes, this is also just while we're stopped. Other important points. Listen to our episode on Civil War II. This is post Civil War II and does
That was
have a
pretty
lot
cool
of
too.
I'm sorry?
This is pre-Civil War II.
This is post-Civil War II. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are salient plot points that specifically how Captain Marvel and Tony Stark will deal with each other that are post Civil War II important.
So they don't explain anything from Nick Spencer's No Surrender storyline.
Not really, no.
No.
Okay, good. That's actually probably important. That's good to know.
Yeah. So he sends out Captain Marvel and the other space folks to deal with the incoming Chitauri attack. Meanwhile, Tony Stark, who it's important to note here is like an AI construct. This is never explained. I don't know what happened to make him this way, because I didn't read whatever came prior to this. So he's like a hologram, I guess, of himself.
He's died, and as his contingency protocol is that his consciousness becomes an AI.
So he's Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp was an AI?
You really don't watch movies, do you?
I don't watch whatever that movie is.
Okay.
Anyways.
Wasn't that Cyberpunk? No, that's not Johnny Depp.
That's not Johnny Depp. That's Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Good God. Okay. Anyways. So Tony, the sentient AI, I think it is mentioned at one point that basically he has uploaded his consciousness as part of this AI. So it's more than just an AI. It's like his consciousness melded with the AI. I don't know, comic books.
He belongs to the moon now.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, whatever. It's Tony Stark. Hologram Tony Stark is working with Riri Williams, otherwise known as Ironheart, to work to basically put a force field shield up over the entire planet. While this is going on, the Defenders are in New York City. They're being attacked by Zemo's army of evil. During this fight, Hyperion and Quasar are essentially taken off the board. They're knocked out, they're hurt, and the villain Nitro explodes and fucks up the Defenders.
As he is wont to do.
Yeah.
Didn't he cause some other problems before?
Yeah, Civil War.
Yeah.
There we go.
Some more Avengers show up and the villains go away. Tony and Riri manage to get the shield up and working finally. And after this is done and the force field is up, Steve reveals that he is in fact Hydra Supreme, and all the powerful space folks, Captain Marvel and company, are effectively shut out from returning to Earth because of the force field. They can't get back in. And then as this is going on as well, Zemo uses the Darkhold, which you may remember from such films as Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, and WandaVision, to basically cover Manhattan in the Dark Force dimension using with blackout, like augmenting this Dark Force dimension cover thing. It's like a dome, I guess, like in Under the Dome. But it's Dark Force. So it's pretty nasty in there. So that's issue 0. That's just kind of where we start out. We get to issue 1. My note on this literally says Hydra's in control now. It's gross. Inhumans have to like register themselves or they risk imprisonment and or death. Mutants have been relocated to a place called New Tian, which is like a mutant nation / I kind of got some concentration camp vibes from it. I
thought the Inhumans slipped on the moon. Sorry.
Yes, when they're not on the moon, the ones on Earth have to register, but okay. they should all be on the moon.
All right, so this is also post-Terrigen Mists. Everyone turns into an Inhuman.
Yes.
Trying to get rid of the mutants. Okay.
Yes, this is because that's also an important part of Civil War II. Yes, the moon is a non-extradition country. And New Tian is the country that at this point the X-Men have established. It was originally off the coast of San Francisco, and then through shenanigans, it moved north into the ocean.
Editor's note: I got this one very, very wrong. New Tien was actually in the western United States and on land. The area that I was thinking of that was previously Asteroid M but fell into the ocean and then was brought up back to the surface by the X Club was Utopia.
Okay. As long as it's not messing up my beautiful Northern California. There is a teen named Rayshawn Lucas, who is I guess, hacker. He gets some information from Rick Jones, who our listeners may or may not recall was at one point a former Bucky stand-in, I guess, and is also BFF of the Hulk and Sentinel, I guess.
See our episode on World War Hulk?
Yes.
Where I'll ask about Black Bolt again.
You got to put an asterisk in Ed note there, Wasta.
Oh, that's true.
But so he gets this information that this Captain America is not like who he claims to be. Like, he's not on the level. There's something wrong with Captain America, which is like a great understatement, right? Because he's Hydra. But so he's got this information, and he's like, this'll give this to the right people. It'll help get to the bottom of this. Sean manages to establish contact with, in my notes I wrote the teens. That's not their actual name, but they are a group of and they're part of an underground resistance of the younger superheroes. And Josh, if you wouldn't mind doing the honors, because I didn't write down the teens' names.
Yeah, well, there is a lot of them. The most important one probably being Miles Morales. However, there is also, and I didn't even catch her superhero name, but she was a younger Black Widow that had been in the Red Room.
Yes, Nadia.
Nadia, yes. And I believe Nadia, I've seen her in the newer Black Widow comics, right?
That is correct. That is
okay.
Was she Red Widow?
It's not ever explicitly stated in this run.
Okay.
Right. But she is going to be important because she is going to talk to Nat about a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Those are the two main.
Man, I hope nothing bad happens to Black Widow in this book.
Shut up, Alan.
just realize something.
Yeah. We also have a lot of what has been called and would be considered the Ultimates, not the Ultimate Universe Ultimates, but they took the name the Ultimates because they are the newer. So you're going to have Ms. Marvel coming in and out here, America Chavez,
Galactus. Galactus was on the Ultimates.
No, Galactus is not here. They will talk about Galactus at one point, though.
Teen Galactus.
Teen Galactus, yeah. So yeah, a lot of the younger superheroes that they haven't killed off, important to note that missing from this team though is Cassie, Ant-Man's daughter, and I am blanking on her name because they don't.
Stature
or Stinger, depending on when you're talking about her, because she's got two names. I think in this one it's. They don't explicitly ever use her code name, so
right. They call everybody kind of calls themselves by their actual names except for Miles. Everybody calls him Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But Cassie is missing. We will find out why, but she is not with this team that she normally would have been.
Yes.
Isn't she dead at this point?
No.
Oh, okay. Comics, everybody.
Yeah.
So Sean gets in touch with these younger kids that are part of an underground resistance, and they manage to take him back to their base just outside of Vegas to meet up with the others. And this is a number of more adult superheroes like Hawkeye and whatnot that are there that are part of this resistance movement against Hydra. Hydra Supreme Steve, and my note says, or Stevil, forms his own knockoff Avengers with bad guys. And it's like Dr. Octopus, Spider-Man, Black Ant.
Dr. Octopus, Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yes.
Supreme. Is it Spider-Man Supreme or Josh?
Superior.
Superior. Thank you. And he's also got Thor, who is not called Thor in this. He's just called Odinson.
Does he have a hammer?
No.
Very specifically, no.
Yeah, very specifically, no.
Wonder how that happened.
Scarlet Witch, and Vision. And we'll find out the reasons for them being part of that a little bit later. So he, Steve-Vil, or Hydra Cap, or Supreme Steve, whatever you want to call him, meets with the Hydra Council, who are discussing whether or not they should control the populace using Dr. Faustus's mind control, because the populace is getting a little uppity. They don't like it very much. And interestingly, Steve is like kind of not into this, even though he's like evil. He's kind of like, well, I don't know. And it's also revealed that like they had some traitors to the regime lined up for firing squad, and Steve kind of keeps moving the dates around and delaying their execution. So it's interesting because like this is the only time I feel like we really see him displaying a little bit of conscience before he just goes full-blown asshole. So meanwhile, Rick Jones and Sharon Carter both, they've been captured by Hydra. They are asked to swear loyalty to Hydra, and they both refuse. Sharon, so Rick is kind of like just locked away in a cell, but Sharon is basically like a prisoner of, but she's also given certain freedoms because she's Steve's girlfriend. So like he has dinner and stuff with her and is like, isn't this just so great? Like being a Nazi is super cool. And Sharon's like, go fuck yourself. But like, he doesn't do anything to her. Like he just is like, I really wish you could see my side of the aisle here.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah. And Sharon's just not having it, but she also can't get out. She's effectively been kidnapped and trapped and is being used as like a doll-like girlfriend for Steve, who doesn't understand why she's so upset all the time.
Because what good is a fascist fuckboy fantasy without enslaving a woman? Am I right?
Exactly.
Is she old?
No.
Oh.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, she's like
older,
late 20s, early 30s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but she doesn't look like in her 50s or 60s. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, specifically, this is Sharon and not Peggy.
No, I know.
Yeah. No, but I know what you're talking about, because I know in later comics, Sharon is depicted as being like in her 60s or so, I would guess. So I get that. At any rate, so Hydra Supreme, otherwise known as Hydra Cap, orders Rick Jones to be killed by firing squad, and also sends out helicarriers to blow up the resistance base out in Vegas. Hydra Cap and Madam Hydra also decide that they need to find the Cosmic Cube to ensure that the Nazis won in World War II, which is so fucking gross. I don't even like saying it out loud. And so that's issue 1. So things are kind of amping up. In issue 2, Tony is analyzing the data that they got from Rick and figures out that the Cosmic Cube has been shattered into several fragments, and he surmises that they can maybe use that to restore Steve back to himself if they can get all the pieces together. So this is like the MacGuffin that sets off the whole extremely lengthy run. Hawkeye is like, cool, no problem. I'll get some people together to go find the pieces. But my gal Nat is not having it and sets off to kill Captain America, because if Steve knew that he was being used this way, he would rather die, is kind of where she's coming from on that.
There's also, just to throw in, because I know it may or may not have been on the bullet notes, a lot of this is being driven because this is not Tony's first or last. Like, well, maybe it's this. Like, there have been, off panel, there have been attempts to find out if it was a clone, if it was an LMD, if it was, a Skrull, somebody from another dimension, if it, like, yada yada, everything that they've gone through before, he keeps coming up with these things. So a lot of the team is like, yeah, we're out, we're done, we've lost.
Yeah. So Nat, my gal Nat is peacing out. But the champions, the teens, TM, kind of follow her, and with them she establishes a new faction, I guess, with them, and which she calls the Red Room. So it's the Red Room 2.0, 3.0, 5.0. I've lost track at this point. She's done this a few times in previous comics.
Yeah, and it is very insensitive to Nadia, who
Yeah.
actually went through the Red Room and is part of this group.
Yeah. And Nadia's like, okay, I guess, fine. So meanwhile, things are just falling apart in New York City. Dagger of Cloak and Dagger, she's the Dagger part, is struggling to continue to provide a light source for the people who are living in the Dark Force dimension. Demons are also running wild in there. Claire Temple, otherwise known as Night Nurse, is overwhelmed because a lot of people were hurt, and the city's been cut off. Essentially, this portion of the city has been cut off, and supplies and things like that are running low. And the Kingpin is just out there playing Al Capone, providing resources to all the civilians that are struggling, that are trapped there, in the hopes that they'll remember who helped them during this dark time.
It's because he's a businessman.
Exactly.
And he's been unfairly maligned by these costume do-gooders.
That's right.
He's
ain't no mafia. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And specifically, he doesn't hope
he's a precious treasure. It's too good for us.
That's right. He doesn't hope people will remember when they say nothing comes for free or what. All he says is, when we get out of this, I want you to remember who was there for you.
Yeah.
To
exactly.
all of these people.
Where was Daredevil?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
This may be the bright spot in this entire run. This may be the thing that I love, is all the shit that happens in the Darkhold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm down with that. So it turns out that Hydra Steve has basically let Madam Hydra be the one who decided to kill Rick and to blow up Vegas. Like, he kind of relinquished control to her and let her make that decision so he didn't have to. Zemo here is like his BFF, I guess, and basically reassures Steve, like, oh, you're doing great, sweetie.
Wasn't
Right.
Zemo the one who blew up, who fired the rocket that got Cap encased in ice and killed Bucky?
Sure was.
All right.
Sure was. So this is a very weird development.
Yeah, so they explained why they fought for like 40, or I guess Marvel timeline, shifting timeline, 10, 20 years.
Nope.
Okay.
They just it is later on in the series, yes, it's like, oh yeah, this guy did this, but this particular Steve does not seem to remember or understand that ever taking place. Like, that memory seems to be not present.
Okay.
Meanwhile, this is the first appearance that we see of what I will refer to going forward as Dream Steve. It is a
Hello, Dream Steve.
You'll make me feel all right.
So Dream Steve is kind of like beardy looking ragtag. Like he looks like he's been out in the wilderness for some time. And he comes across a lady in white who is being pursued by what is essentially the Serpent Society, just all the snake dudes, in some forest somewhere. And he rescues her and tells her that, my name's Steve Rogers. I'm just trying to get home. And that's how the issue closes. So now we've got this going on. And we will return to this several times during the remainder of this extremely lengthy story.
Can we also not call her Madam Hydra, because in this she really is Mommy Hydra?
Oh God, no! I'm not playing this game. This is not my kink.
I support you, Leia. I support you.
Mommy Hydra is the new nickname.
This is where Leia has tapped out.
Yeah, like that's it. That's the episode. Bye, everybody.
Like Gail Kim, she threw herself out of the ring.
So we open up in issue 3, And the woman in white, although Dream Steve has rescued her, she has been bitten by one of these snake dudes, and is has been poisoned and is dying. It's revealed that Steve can't really remember anything past his basic training days back in the 30s. Meanwhile, the Guardians are appealing to the Skrull, Kree, Brood, and Shi'ar empires to help with Earth's problem. And these guys basically tell them to fuck entirely off and attempt to kill them. And they return empty-handed to Captain Marvel. This is also when we kind of find out that Quasar is alive, but in a coma.
This is a thinly veiled allegory for what happens when the United States finally gets to the point where it's going to ask for help from other countries. They're going to say, "Oh, you're from the United States? Fuck off and die."
Yeah, exactly.
Seems rather rude.
So,
a Canadian would say that.
So Nat meets up with Boomerang, who is like running a criminal empire and also hiding Maria Hill. They both start.
Why is Maria Hill in hiding?
What's that?
Why is Maria Hill in hiding?
She's in hiding because of I guess so. Prior to this, there was a series I did not read, and there was a incident at a crazy supervillain prison that she ran that completely backfired.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Cap showed up and was like, "Hey, everybody, want to join Hydra and not be in jail?"
Yeah, and
people.
The Cap was already Hydra during this previous series.
He was.
Okay.
He wasn't out Hydra. He was subtly Hydra.
Closeted Hydra.
Right. It wasn't Hydra Pride Month.
So Maria and Nat they decide to train the teens, and Nat in particular warns them that they're gonna have to kill people. Like that's what this is about. Like there's no more, we're gonna like tie you up and shake our finger at you, and like you're gonna have to fucking kill people. We're at that point now. You will have to kill Nazis. And
I'm strangely comfortable with it.
Yeah, right.
Hey, children soldiers, why not?
Right, because if anyone in the Marvel universe is going to decide children soldiers, that's the way to go, it's fucking Nat.
Yeah. It's just.
And again, it's just before or after Civil War the movie.
Right. This is actually after Civil War the movie, because that came out in 2016.
It's true.
Okay. So we had Tony Stark make Spider-Man and Scarlet Witch children soldiers. Got it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Hydra Steve is pulled away from a Hydra Youth Science Fair, and is informed that another shard of the Cosmic Cube has been located in Atlantis. So the Hydra Avengers go there, destroy one of Atlantis's most sacred temples, only to find out that the shard is a fake and Namor is better than them. They also do this.
Atlantis.
They also tried to do this off screen in Wakanda, and they fail at it apparently. It's alluded to but never shown. Like, hey, we tried this in Wakanda and it sucked for us, and we did not get what we wanted.
I assume that was probably the spin-off series.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. This particular storyline had like 1.5 billion tie-ins about like what other people were doing during this time and how they were doing it and whatever. I did not bother to do that. I mean, I would still be reading if that were the case. Like it's already lengthy. We don't need to bring everybody else into it. Meanwhile, Mockingbird leads the task force of all the gathered resistance to Sam Wilson, who is kind of undercover, I guess. I want to say in hiding, because he's not really in hiding, but he's not Cap anymore. He quit.
Right.
And he's just trying to do his best out there, but not as a superhero.
He fucked off to the northwest.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Dream Steve, we cut back over to him, and he's trying to get this woman in white out of the forest, but she is too fucked up by the poison in her system, and tells Steve that he can find his way home if he's true to himself, and then dies. Back in Newark, Boomerang finds a bomb in his house. It blows up, but he's fine enough until the Punisher shows up wanting info on the Resistance and his criminal empire. So Frank's Hydra now, big surprise. That part actually made sense to me. A, because cops love him, and B, he just follows Captain America's lead. So like, I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. So that's where issue 3 ends. In issue 4, Dream Steve, we're back to him, is fighting some old villains he doesn't recognize when 2 figures appear that look a lot like Bucky and Sam. They help him fight off the old villains, and they decide to just hang out together. It'd be cool. Meanwhile, Nat is training the teens in violent interrogation techniques on a Hydra grunt, who, some of the teens are like, well, he's too low level to know anything. And she's like, yes, but he's still a piece of shit. And she kills him.
Yep.
Which, like, good, like, I'm not mad about this.
He had a family.
I mean, doing it in front of kids, I'm like, but
child soldiers, please.
Yeah.
She is training them to do that.
Right.
So why, okay, you're drawing the line at killing him? Is that
I'm drawing the line at killing him in front of them.
So, okay.
We want you to kill Hydra soldiers,
like,
but
eventually-
we don't want you to have to see Hydra
this is-
soldiers dying.
This is
So did Hydra straight up replace Shield? Like, where's Shield in all this?
Yeah, no. In fact, okay, to move back, the United States government, there were enough things going on, terrorist attacks and things like that, that they felt they were underprepared, and they gave Steve emergency powers, up to and including the Commander-in-Chief powers.
Yeah.
Wow.
You will find out later, as a very minor plot point that you would know if you were reading the earlier stuff, this was all set up by Steve to then get this power.
Yeah.
Steve Rogers in this, by the way, I just want to say it, and I'm going to say it right now, and maybe people will stop listening, but he's a much smarter Trump.
Yeah. This
Must be a much, much smarter.
Well, he can stand up straight, so that's step 1.
Okay, there you go.
He exercises.
He can
That's
form
step
complete
2.
sentences.
He knows when to shut his mouth.
So both teams
Power through it, Leia. Power through it.
yeah, just trying to live my life over here. So both teams managed to track down a fragment of the cosmic cube and confront one another, but this is at the base of a really, oh man, this pains me to say it. It is at the base of this Ultron / Hank Pym hybrid that's like Ultron but wearing part of Hank Pym's face.
Part?
Yes, like it ripped
why.
at some point when he was taking it off of Hank Pym's body. So he puts it over the left side of his face.
I don't know why or how this happened, and I don't know if I want to know. I have no explanation for it other than comic books. I was like, this is
Also, Ultron has had some sort of mental break.
Yes.
Where it thinks it is Hank Pym.
Yes. It's very, very weird. But like literally my note says both teams track down a fragment and confront one another, but Ultron Hank makes them have dinner together because he is nuts.
Yes, because he wants them to be a family again.
Yes.
What?
Yes. I wish
this is
I was
the
making this up.
weirdest.
Well,
weird
it's Ultron
thing.
trying to be his creator, right? So that makes a weird kind of sense, especially with the whole larger storyline.
Sure.
And I know Leia will hate this, but James Spader's voice, all I can hear.
No, I actually loved I thought James Spader's casting was excellent. I think the movie was awful. I love James Spader. I do not love Age of Ultron.
Someday we will go step by step through that movie and really deep analyze it, but please continue.
You mean
Today is not that day.
You
I'd rather
mean
be
rip it
doing
apart?
that,
Yeah.
Oh, just the farmhouse scene. That's all you need to do.
Oh God.
I'm glad that was corrected by Hawkeye this series. Moving on. I'm not going to spend any more time yelling about that movie. Otherwise, we will be here for 6 straight hours. So Ultron Hank thing tells them discloses to them basically that Thor is working with Hydra in order to hopefully get Mjolnir back. Wanda is possessed by Chthon.
What, did Mjolnir go on a trip?
Mjolnir is being wielded by Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Steve is worthy as a Nazi.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have, that's a thing that's going on. So I hate it.
There's a whole subtext of the whole Viking white supremacist, since Odin was the one that says worthy and decides that what's worthy. Like, there's a whole can of worms there that I'm just going to leave off to the side. Whoever off of this show wants to go ahead and open that, I'm just going to reference it.
That's gross. I don't like it.
I know this was about when I really started. I was annoyed, and then I started to get actively upset. This just does not get any better, but we'll get to that point when we get there.
Come on, Leia. We did Monsters a Go-Go. We can do this. Sorry. Just
I'm doing my best.
Reference.
So Thor's working with Hydra to get Mjolnir back somehow. It's not really expressly explained how, but like that's his objective. Wanda has been possessed by Chthon again, and Vision has an AI virus.
I like the again part. That makes me
laugh. Yeah. When isn't she possessed by Chthon?
Right. Also, the second part of why Thor is working with them, which I don't know if it
is addressed later.
Okay, cool.
It is addressed.
Well,
later.
then we will wait for that.
Yeah.
There is a second reason.
Oh, there's more. Yay.
Yeah, there's more. But this is all from Hank / Ultron's point of view. He points out that the Avengers often follow Steve or Tony despite their numerous and historic fuck ups in the past. And that, and they're the ones who are, they're the reason that they can't be a family anymore. But Tony counters that the Avengers failed because Hank abused Janet. Whoops. Truth hurts. Ultron Hank is incredibly pissed. And
punch.
but Scott Lang manages to talk him out of killing everyone, which is actually pretty brilliant. It's basically like, no, you're my inspiration. You're still a hero. Fuck this fucking book, man. Ultron ends up giving the fragment to the underground, and everyone goes home, I guess. Meanwhile, back in the United States, Hydra Steve forces Namor to sign a peace treaty that will give him the Atlantis fragment, and Steve reveals that he has an insider on the underground. We don't know who it is yet. So that's how issue 4 ends. We are part of the way there.
We're all of a third of the way through this?
God damn. Okay.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
Stop bringing math into this.
Math just makes it worse. I'm sorry.
You'll slowly hear the joy just go out of my voice as we progress.
No, I've heard it. You're not doing a good job hiding it.
Oh my God, you got to have so much wine ready for her when she goes back to California.
I'm going to steal all the limes off your lime tree. I was absolutely fascinated by that because we don't, have that here. And I was like, wow, there's just limes growing. I felt like a child.
Think of all the gin and
I would grow mint directly next to it and possibly eventually sugar cane.
There you
just
go.
To make my own rum and just have a mimosa garden.
There you go. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So issue 5. So Viper is informed that Nat's been captured. But this is kind of a ruse in order to let the champions break into a Hydra base. Nat reveals to Viper that she is on a mission to kill Hydra Cap.
Viper's not on Hydra, right?
What's that?
Is Viper the same as Mommy Hydra, or
no? Different.
Okay.
Viper has at one point or another been Madam Hydra, but they are separate in this. This is the original Madam Hydra that had the name, and I don't think has had any others.
Yeah.
All right.
So she convinces Viper to work with her. Nat does, kind of under the guise of like being Hydra but better. Like, hey, couldn't we just, we don't need this guy. What if we just were Hydra but cool? And this actually works very quickly. Nat's pretty good at her job. The champions, meanwhile, come across a comatose old man. They're pretty confused, but Nat tells them that's their guy, giving them no more information whatsoever. There's an interlude where Dream, Steve, Bucky, and Sam are all traveling together and having a nice time. Meanwhile, Ant-Man is updating his daughter, Cassie Lang, otherwise known as Stinger/Stature, depending on which one you're talking to at any point, on their progress in finding the fragments. Tony, meanwhile, goes to Wakanda and goes to T'Challa and asks for his aid, but T'Challa ain't having it. He's like, look, Wakanda's fine. Yeah, we got a piece. We ain't giving it to anybody. If you collect a bunch of shards and bring them here to Wakanda and relinquish them to me, then I'll help you, maybe. And Tony's like, yo, fuck this, and leaves. In Madripoor, Ant-Man Scott Lang reunites with the Underground, and they are attacked by the Hand being controlled by the Hive. Hercules, who had been with them, is turned to stone by the Gorgon.
Controlled by the Hive? Who's the Hive?
The Hive.
See, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Hive is a entity. It's like a hive mind that can take over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And this ancient order of undead Japanese ninja are being controlled by it.
Yes.
Right. And just because I brought up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 4 was running concurrently with this and did this much better.
Nice.
No lies detected.
Right? Also, it had Grant Ward, who is a fucking amazing villain.
Yes.
So, Shang-Chi is there. He's being held captive by Hydra, and Tony frees him and tells him that, he's like, I used to have a shard, but somebody took it. I don't remember who. Spoiler alert, it was Emma Frost. She took it, and she took it back to Neon.
And she took his memories with her.
Yes. Hydra Steve is very unhappy. Madam Hydra tells Hydra Steve that it's been difficult to control the Chthon possessed Wanda, although Vision's virus is working just fine. And Thor is troubled by the loss of Jane Foster, who is trapped in an alternate dimension, and he has been praying to Odin, and she and Dr. Faustus can't really do anything about it because he is too powerful. He is a god. There is really not a lot they can do about his kind of troubled spirit here.
Right. FYI, he thinks she's in a different dimension.
Yes.
She's in space.
Yes. She is currently in space, being, locked out by this the shield.
But not shield.
Not shield with as an acronym, like a literal shield.
All right.
Yeah.
Like the oxygen shield from Spaceballs.
Yeah.
AI Tony Bell.
I will try to,
on the planet.
I'll try to remember to refer to it going forward as the force field rather than the shield, just to avoid confusion. So the resistance has been going around trying to find these shards, and they keep not getting to them in time. And Tony had been like, oh, I've got this fragment tracking device, I've got this data that says it's over here, whatever. It's revealed that he didn't have anything like that all along. Tony is just working off of the info that they had gotten from Rick all along. So there is no tracking device. He's just working on outdated information. So that's cool.
In his justification is everyone was out of hope. Completely out of hope. So what else was I supposed to do other than lie?
Yeah.
Which, of all the things that we have read on this show that Tony Stark fucking has done, this is the least of those crimes.
Yeah.
But this is like AI Tony Stark. This is a computer Tony Stark. So, it's exactly who I want lying to me.
Yeah.
Sounds like Ultron too.
Yeah,
Ultron Stark?
It's pretty cool.
It's just a snarkier Ultron.
Yeah. Probably a smarter Ultron.
So Hydra Steve mentions that they have a secret weapon, and we will find out what that is in a short while.
So, hold on. What number of MacGuffin is this?
Oh, this is number 357.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot of a lot.
Jesus.
So, while right after that, Dream Steve and Co. meet up with the Red Skull, who claims that he will take them home. And at the end of the issue, we find out that it turns out that Hydra Steve's secret weapon is a resurrected Hulk. See Civil War II. And then my notes just say, cool, 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 cool.
Oh my God.
I have questions.
You're not going to get any answers.
Nope.
No, comic books. It is not explicitly stated how this happens either.
Right.
It's like
it's actually, this is the one thing that I actually did research on to be like, okay, this is a thread that we have followed throughout both Graphically Novel and Rec Conversations to try and at least let's keep an eye on the Hulk because Bear's going to ask me about it. And this is from Civil War II to this is the first time that Bruce Banner shows back up. There is no other comic. There are references to him. There's, hey, he's been dead. Hawkeye killed him, like all this whole shit. There was never until this moment oh, hey, Bruce is alive.
Right. And it's not explained how they managed to resurrect him. It's just like, we have him. He has been resurrected. Here he is.
Now I wonder if that's when Immortal
it is
Hulk
in
happens.
Immortal Hulk.
Yeah, they talk about where he
finds
died.
out he cannot die.
Yeah.
He is Professor Chang. He cannot die.
Wait, is it Professor Chang now?
Well, from Community.
Or is it Amadeus Cho?
What? No, not Amadeus Cho. That's
okay.
First of all, that's racist. But no, in Immortal Hulk, you find out that basically, given enough time, the Hulk will always make Bruce's
that's like
body.
Corbin Hulk story.
Was it?
Yeah, there's like a Richard Corbin Hulk, I think one shot, and it's pretty much the premise is like Bruce Banner keeps trying to kill himself, but the big green guy keeps showing up.
And that's where that's where issue 5 ends. So issue 6, so things are just a mess in Manhattan. Dagger is really struggling to keep Manhattan lit up for more than a couple minutes at a time. Doctor Strange is out there looking for a magic book, as he does, in order to find something to help him free the city from the Darkhold. Daredevil attacks some dudes that he thinks are stealing, but Kingpin informs him that they're actually delivering supplies to the hospital, and don't you feel bad?
Yep. I love him.
Dream Steve, meanwhile, asks Red Skull where he is, and Red Skull is like, hell. He then goes all Mick Foley on him with a baseball bat covered in barbed wire, telling him the only way to peace is death. Back with the teens TM in the Red Room, Nadia Pym is mad that the champions want to talk Nat out of killing Cap. And Miles tells Nat to, have some hope. So this particular issue, kind of the theme is hope, although it doesn't give us much. It's kind of just jerking us around.
So Nat has failed at turning these children into killers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Way to go, girl.
Hydra Steve appeals to Bruce to work for Hydra. Bruce is like, absolutely not. You can fuck all the way into the sky with that shit, my dude. And Hydra Steve is like, yes, but I wasn't talking to you. And you can see his, eyes go green, and what's coming. So Hulk is like all in on this, and there is, again, no explanation as to why. That's where the scene ends. We don't hear what his reasoning was or how he discussed anything with the Hulk. Hulk is like, yes, Hulk Nazi now, smash.
Well, maybe if he's still a little resentful over the whole being killed thing.
Understandable, but also, come on,
but
man.
Also, yeah.
That's a little extreme.
Hulk doesn't have a side. Hulk is his own side.
So, meanwhile, back with the Resistance, Tony's kind of worked out that there's got to be a mole somewhere in the group. And Mockingbird and Quicksilver start accusing one another and fighting, until finally Scott Lang blurts out, like, no, guys, it was me. I gave them information. They had leverage on me. They were going to kill Cassie. They have Cassie. And if I didn't give them info, they were going to kill her. So that's why Cassie has not been with the teens TM or any of the Resistance. She's been captured.
Yeah, throughout this comic, he has been sending her like, and it's in panel. He's been sending her like messages.
Yeah.
That looking back on it, it was how he was informing Hydra of what was happening, because it was like, hey Cassie, we went to the Savage Land and it was like a whole thing and there were dinosaurs and I know you're going to be jealous, but here's a picture of me with a dinosaur. Yeah, we're looking for these cosmic cube fragments, like, and you're like, oh, okay, like that's not a really smart thing to send to your daughter, but until you find out that she's captured, and that's how he's been sending the information.
Yeah, and like, to be fair, like when I read that, before this reveal was made, I was like, oh, it's just Scott being Scott,
Right. Not very smart, like from an espionage point of view, but you're Scott, so
right, exactly. You're just kind of a lovable doofus. Like, yeah, of course you'll write like letters to the front to your daughter. Sure, why not?
Right. My dear Cassie.
So just as this is revealed, the Hulk busts through the base and just starts smashing. The Thing, I love my notes on this. The Thing says CM Punk's catchphrase and they fight.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, yeah.
Giant Man, meanwhile, unleashes some AI Avengers to help in the Hulk fight as well. And whatever they use to resurrect him doesn't last super long, and Hulk kind of falls off the roof, and that's that on that, I guess. Everybody else gets the fuck out, but Tony, who is stuck fighting Hydra Cap, and it's because they like can't transfer his AI out or something like that. I don't know, comic books.
Steve has some sort of device that freezes Tony, AI Tony, so he's not light, he's hard light.
Yeah.
So he can't transfer.
Yeah, it's comic books. Okay.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
MacGuffins prevent him from leaving. And Tony apologizes for what happened in Civil War I and admits that he didn't want to fail Steve again, and that's why he's been fighting so hard. Madam Hydra shows up, manages to teleport Hydra Steve away at the last second, and then Iron Man's suit explodes and kills her, I guess.
Yeah, like with the force of a megaton bomb.
Yeah. So she did. Nat, meanwhile, gets the sit rep on that and tells the champions, like, fuck, we are killing this guy tomorrow. Tomorrow we are killing him.
This guy being Cap.
Hydra Cap.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's how issue 6 ends. So we are now at issue 7. Just chugging along here.
Tomorrow we will kill Steve tomorrow to end Leia's rant.
Yeah,
and there's 10 issues, right?
Yes.
So
no, we won't kill Cap tomorrow. No. But
so issue 7 opens up, and Captain Marvel and company, all this the space folks, they are really not having a good time in space, which is to be expected because nobody, in my personal opinion, should ever be in space. They are low on supplies.
Are you protected?
What?
Nothing. It's an old internet meme. Are you protected?
No. They are low on supplies, they are low on oxygen, and they are constantly being assaulted by more and more Chitauri. It is revealed that the reason the Chitauri keep attacking Earth is because there are Chitauri queen eggs hidden somewhere on Earth, and that's why the Chitauri are being drawn to Earth in these like never.
Hey, more MacGuffins.
Yeah, it's exhausting. So Monica suggests that America Chavez start transporting like refugees to another dimension. Like we gotta like at least get them off of here, and maybe they can go somewhere else for a bit. But Carol is not having it, and she wants to continue to protect Earth. Quasar, meanwhile, still in a coma.
Quasar being one of the only people powerful enough to maybe take down the shield.
Yeah.
But she was taken out in like the first wave of the Chitauri.
Because of the quantum bands. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Dream Steve, meanwhile, is being tortured by Red Skull. Not going to get into that. Miles and Nat meet up. And they are basically trying. They're plotting on killing Hydra Steve. Miles wants to do it, or thinks that he should do it because of the prophecy in Civil War II. See our issue or episode on Civil War II for more information about that. That was done so well in Civil War II, and here it's just stupid.
Right. Yes.
So
Civil War II was all about Miles fighting against this destiny and proving that it would never happen, to him just arbitrarily saying, okay, well, if this is going to happen, it's going to be me.
Yeah.
No escaping destiny.
Weird.
Destiny.
No escaping up for me.
So Nat, of course, is one step ahead and basically like locks him in the back of her murder van in a Hulk-proof compartment because she does not want him to be a killer. Again, really confusing here, Nat. Figure it out. She has
the murder van. Where's the Punisher?
We'll get back to him.
Yeah. No, it's coming.
It's coming.
All right.
So she heads out to DC and has the team create a diversion, basically, that will allow her to get a shot in on Steve, Hydra Steve. Turns out that the old comatose guy that the team rescued was an Inhuman named Mosaic. He possesses the Hydra guards and then which kind of allows a window for Nat to kill Steve. Just as she's lining up the shot, the Punisher shows up because of course he fucking does. And she and him fight.
So there has been a whole thing that we've kind of glossed over. The Punisher's been hunting for Nat on behalf of Steve. The reason that he's working for Steve goes back to Civil War I, where basically you find out that the Punisher does what he does.
Captain America.
Yes, because he worships Captain America. This Captain America is willing to use that to bring Punisher to his side and make him his agent.
Yeah. The call, like I said, when he first showed up, it made sense that he was working for Hydra because that is where Steve is.
Right. I hate it, but it makes sense.
Right, exactly. Like
that feels like it's such a reach, but yeah, okay.
You're right. That's where I am too. I hate it, but it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes a fuck of a lot more sense than most of the shit in this.
Exactly. So in the van, meanwhile, Miles starts a fire because he's trying to get the doors open, and it works. The van door opens and Miles gets out. Meanwhile,
I'm sorry. I just want to point out exactly how, because it's another thing that went up my
craw. So I was about to ask some questions.
Okay, cool. So he uses his spider stinger power to start the fire. The fire goes off. The computer in the van is basically like, please enter a password to open the emergency hatch to leave. And he's like, oh, well, I don't know the password, but I guess I do because the prophecy says I kill Steve. So whatever I put in will work. So he puts in a password and it works.
Yeah.
The Bill and Ted School of Time Travel.
Wow.
Yay!
It's so
I mostly had to point that out because Bear is in the room and Bear fucking hates bad time travel shit.
Yeah.
I hate most time travel shit.
Oh wait,
because most time travel shit is bad time travel shit.
It's about to get real dumb, but we'll get to that in a minute. So meanwhile, the Punisher is subdued by Nat she basically takes two, I guess, daggers or short swords and just runs him through just above the knee. So he's completely immobilized. And he tells Nat that Hydra is going to use to bring back the dead and let the Nazis win. So Nat is like, absolutely the fuck not, my guy. And she turns to try
so the Nazis can kill him all over again.
Right, exactly. Like, it's so fucking dumb. So she turns to try to line up the shot again, just in time to see Miles Morales approaching Hydra Steve. And she's like, oh, fuck. And she runs to intercept. She manages to fight off a couple goons, get between him and Miles, and is killed by the sharp point on Steve's shield. She dies. I took a moment to be upset about this, and this is like, Josh, we really need to start a counter on how many times Black Widow dies in any given comic run, because I think it's like once or twice per.
I think Simon from What Culture has shown us the dangers of having any sort of counter.
Yes.
Because you get sick of it real quick.
So I just need to ask, who gets the better send off, Infinity War or this?
It's just so bad.
Yeah,
it's so bad. But at least her death is acknowledged.
This book.
I mean, I will say at least her death is mildly acknowledged in as much as Miles sees this because it's right in front of him.
It's true.
He flips out and starts just beating the absolute piss out of Hydra Steve and nearly kills him. He almost impales him on a piece of metal or rock or something that's hanging out.
Which is what the prophecy said he was going to do.
Right, exactly.
Stick him right through that rock.
Gypsy woman was right.
And they are on the Capitol steps too. I did forget to mention that, but that is important. They are on the Capitol steps just as the prophecy in Civil War II had shown. So Miles thinks this is his fucking moment. As he's about to just completely end Hydra Cap, Nadia intervenes and persuades him not to do it because he isn't a killer. My notes here say, what are you doing? Fuck, this is dumb. Don't kill Hitler. It'll make you a bad guy. Fuck you.
Was Nick Spencer one of the writers in Civil War II?
No.
God, no.
Okay. Was that all Bendis?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, which is its own it's its own level of problematic.
So the champions meanwhile are arrested. Steve is taken back to the helicarrier and asked to talk to Sharon. He meets up with Sharon and tells her that he was going to use the cube to set things right. And Sharon is kind of done with this and tries to stab him with honest to God, hand to God, is a stake, like a vampire killing stake.
Not like a ribeye. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, not a T-bone, but like, you know, what do we carry on item cards that has a plus?
Ribeye floating out.
Yes.
New York strip.
Strip. Right here. I guess it's just audio.
So she manages to like break his skin, but doesn't get any farther than that. Guards take her away, and Steve decides to declare war. Meanwhile,
on who?
Steve.
It seems like that's over.
Yeah, like this, whatever.
All right.
Dream Steve is about to lose to Red Skull when he catches a glimpse of the woman in white again. This mysterious woman in white who is supposedly dead. This allows him to rally and kick the Red Skull's ass. Meanwhile, Sam Wilson reappears. He has taken the suit and shield back and declares himself to be Captain America and tries to rally everybody under his resistance efforts. So he has taken the mantle back up again. That's how issue 7 closes. Issue 8, there is, I'm going to be honest.
Issue 8. Moving on.
Yeah,
I mean, kind of.
I wish. This is where I stopped taking notes because it got too dumb. So I literally, my only note for episode 8 says there's a really stupid plot point here about a reverse time machine or something. It does not matter at all. It doesn't do anything, and it simply takes up space. So I will not be going into the logic behind the reverse time machine or what it does or who's working on it, because it is ultimately completely pointless. So
were these issues coming out monthly or weekly or what?
Weekly.
Okay.
This went from April to August of 2017.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Felt that.
Yeah, it's painful. So Dream Steve, meanwhile, has, after the fight, has like fallen into this river and is like sinking to the bottom of the river. And he manages to see like a glimpse of light coming from the surface and manages to break free and swim to the surface.
I want to break free.
It sounds like a metaphor.
So Sam, meanwhile, again, I'm not getting into the stupid time travel or time machine. They basically want to send a message to the future by putting a time machine, or hang on, let's see if I can articulate this. It's so fucking dumb.
If you start describing this reverse time machine, I'm going to start asking questions about it.
Okay, let's just say that it's really stupid. It's supposed to send a message to the future to come back and rescue them to the past, basically.
Yes. Because they can't send something to the past, it might mess up the timeline. So they send it to the future to give them a message to be able to do something at a certain time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
Wouldn't that just be a box with like an open now sign?
Yeah, one would think that basically that's a time capsule.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really not.
It's open in 20 years.
Yeah. It just, and it doesn't do anything. Like nothing happened. Nothing comes of this particular plot line. It's dumb. So Sam takes off and he he's trying to get between like the Earth and the force field because he can fly. Iron Man and Hawkeye, meanwhile, break into this super prison that's run by Sin and Crossbones.
Sin.
And they're trying to free all of their captive buddies. Meanwhile, in space, Captain Marvel and the Captain Marvel and company are being they're approached by Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon. They have plans for a nullifier bomb that they got from they stole from a nihilist, and they can use the space station to detonate it.
Okay, I know you want the counter for the number of times Nat dies. I want the number of times that the ultimate nullifier shows up in any way, shape, or form. I mean, in all of the stories that we've done.
The ultimate MacGuffin.
Yeah, at this point, everything would be nullified. There is no anything anymore. It's
everywhere. It is fucking everywhere.
Every 20 minutes, somebody's got the ultimate nullifier or something thereof. Meanwhile, back in Manhattan, that's still under this dark force dimension. Doctor Strange gets this spell that he learned in exchange for control over the Sanctum Sanctorum. So meanwhile, we cut back to Sam, who's just flying around. He's got a piece of this cube, and he is flying around basically in pursuit of Hydra jets. And they manage to shoot Sam down, and he falls into the ocean, still clutching this fragment of the cosmic cube. Meanwhile, we cut back over to Doctor Strange again, and the spell appears to be doing absolutely nothing. Up in space, all of the space folks have evacuated the Alpha Flight space station that they were on. And
yay, Canada.
Canada.
They've got explosive charges up.
Now with Zero Canada.
So they've got explosives charged up that will go upon collision, basically.
Yeah, actually, because Alan is on this, Alpha Flight at this point has basically become the space protection force for the Earth at this point in comics.
Captain Marvel and 3 original Alpha Flight members, right?
Right. Yeah. But it's also
Canadian
funded.
Anyway. It's not Department H in any way. It's just we're appropriating the name.
It's funded by the Canadian government, which is why it has the name.
Oh, okay. Where's Sword then? Is Sword disbanded at this point for being terrible, or
Sword has had so many fucking problems that Sword, when they show up now, it's like deep space shit. So it's like,
okay,
as long as you don't cause problems on Earth, that's great. You go and fuck off to somewhere else.
All right, okay. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. So,
there's no Puck, which I'm a little distraught about.
I thought Puck was in the earlier issues of Alpha Flight.
Maybe.
Don't cut this, by the way. You got to keep this. This is gold.
Oh no! This is gold. This is staying in. Any conversation about Alpha Flight, I'm down.
Yeah, I thought it was Puck, Northstar, and Aurora, and Captain Marvel, and
I don't know. All I can tell you is Puck shows up nowhere in this comic. I would have made a note of it.
Okay. No, at this point, no. I mean,
there's like a handful. There's definitely Gambit, but Puck shows up in a scene, I'm going to mention because Puck is my boy. He's like the Rey Mysterio of the. Actually, no, he's more like the Rey Phoenix of the Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, like Ray Phoenix's great grandfather.
Yes.
He's supposed to be stupid old. He's also supposed to be like a 7 foot tall giant.
Isn't that
I'm here for
Wendigo?
all of this.
No, Puck's backstory is that it's, or at least one of his origin stories. They probably retconned it as well. I said the name of the show.
We have a
Puck's
title.
backstory was that he was like this 6 foot tall or 6 foot something wrestler, and he like is imprisoned a demon, and that forced him to be like small.
I gotta read more Puck shit now. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's like him and Wolverine talking about it.
That would also explain why Puck fights people like he's 7 feet tall.
Yeah, well, that's just lazy writing by John Byrne.
Also true, but yeah. All right, cool. Well, let's get back to the thing that we're doing. Yes, but this is staying in.
4 issues to go.
Yeah.
Jeez, we're on issue 8.
3 more issues. You can do this. I'm excited.
All right, yay. So right before this happens, right before the Alpha Flight space station is evacuated, Quasar manages to awaken from her coma, and is immediately just jumps back into action, and she flies out and almost single-handedly takes down the planetary defense shield that they put up, the force field, and this is a huge win for everybody. Captain Marvel immediately flies to the location where the Chitauri eggs are, and destroys them so that they will stop attacking Earth.
So she commits genocide to stop the Chitauri attacking.
It's not genocide, it's just infanticide.
Yeah. Not really.
She didn't kill the entire race.
They're coming there to get the eggs of their queens, which I guess they need to perpetuate their race.
Well, it's not all of them, it's just some of them. There's plenty of Chitauri out there.
Right. It's not
okay.
As we've seen since they've thrown wave after wave.
Back and some blonde glowing lady blew them up. I'd be a little pissed.
Oh no!
They're dead.
It's mass murder.
Like we got punishment.
Yeah, it is mass murder. It's just not genocide.
Okay, so she committed mass murder. Our queens, and I wouldn't. But it's aliens. Who knows?
I mean, really, at this point, I'm not going to get into a debate over at what point Chitauri life begins. They are still in eggs, so technically, biologically, they haven't. According to Hebrew law, they have not taken first breath yet and are not alive.
Yeah, whatever.
That's my standpoint on Chitauri.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if I was waging a galactic war to get something back and someone killed them or blew them up, yeah, I would have turned around and go home saying, "All right, all good."
Never mind.
Again, all right.
It's kind of implied that the Chitauri are kind of mindless. So whatever. Meanwhile, back at the super prison, Maria Hill, Iron Man, and Hawkeye come across a completely brainwashed Blackout. And this is a plot point I didn't particularly understand because I guess it would have had to necessitate me reading whatever came before this. Because this is like the Pleasant Hill aftermath of the Pleasant Hill prison that went very poorly that Maria ran.
Right. Several heroes died. I'm not sure if it is ever outward stated. I implied, not having read it, that is where Tony died.
Sure, yeah.
And why the AI booted up.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Yeah, not sure. Haven't read it, don't know.
There was a whole Secret Empire,
I'm waiting for
mini series.
My favorite Quentin Tarantino. Okay. This is what happened.
Right. Right.
So,
all the plot was in the second part. That's my bitterness with Kill Bill.
So Maria Hill, the TLDR is that Maria Hill kills Blackout, which basically lifts the Dark Force dimension off of Manhattan. So that's now been taken care of with his death. Like he dies and that goes away. Sam, meanwhile, manages to emerge, fly out of the ocean, and he still has the cosmic cube fragment. And he meets up with everybody else over at the Triskelion, including the people that had previously been trapped in the Dark Force dimension, etc. And the Captain Marvel and company. So they're all getting together. And Namor, God bless him, Namor shows up and is like, haha, I am the best. Look who I have brought you. And it's a still alive Bucky who's like, fine.
Yep.
So here's Bucky. That made me happy. So Hydra has gotten Black Panther captive. So he's captive of Hydra now. And Hydra has most of the fragments of the Cosmic Cube. And so they kind of try to discuss like what the hell they think they're going to do. They know that their chances of winning this are extremely slim. So they're trying to formulate a plan. Meanwhile, Dream Steve runs into the woman in white again, and Steve finally figures it out. Something comes back to him, and he realizes that this is Sharon. This woman disappears and is replaced with like a little girl. This is the sentient cosmic cube named Kobik. This is dumb as fuck. I hate this. The MacGuffin has literally turned into like a different MacGuffin for no reason. And Kobik's like, oh, we're all alone, blah, blah, blah. I'm sad. I just, man, I hate this so much. And that's how that issue ends. So now we have a cosmic cube that's also a person, but is a little girl, but is also a cube. Fine. That's that. Issue 9. Kobik and Dream Steve are talking, and she is very sad. She just wanted to help people, I guess, and thought that Hydra was like the way to go. This rationale is never given much thought. It is not explored in any way. She does not follow up on that. She's just like, I just thought it would be a good idea. That's it. And Dream Steve wants to know if she's also lost. And Kobik is like, oh, we're not lost, and leads them into what was the Pleasant Hill prison, like the ruins of this prison. Meanwhile, Hydra Cap is on the helicarrier that's like above the White House. And he's approached by Zemo, who's got Black Panther as his prisoner. And T'Challa's taken away by some guards as he, is like, hey, I'm gonna fucking kill you one day. I'm gonna get free and I'm gonna kill you. Meanwhile, over by the Washington Monument, Hydra's forces are fighting pretty much everybody. All of the Alpha Flight, the Defenders, Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, all kinds of other, like everybody is there. Hydra has the Hydra Avengers and the Hydra High Council fighting with them as well. Meanwhile, on the Hydra helicarrier that Steve is on, Emma Frost, Beast, and Sebastian Shaw meet with Hydra Cap, and Emma is like, hey, look, New Tian we will not bow to Hydra. Like we can like work together with you and whatever, but we will not take a fucking knee to you, dude.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Magneto attacks the helicarrier. Thank God Magneto's here. And
he is not Hydra.
And he is not Hydra. He has not joined the Nazis. Thank God.
It's just despite what that alternate cover shows.
Yeah, thank God. That's just a terrible cover. So everybody's fighting. Zola tells Hydra Cap that they've got enough shards. They don't have all of them, but they've got like enough. And we got to get out of here. So everybody's still kung fu fighting. The X-Men are all assembled and fighting against Hydra. And Odinson, otherwise known as Thor that was, manages to he changes his mind. He's like, wait a minute, this is all bullshit. And he calls down some lightning to strike down some of the Hydra folks. Taskmaster and Black Ant also switch sides. They're like, you know what? fuck it, we're not doing this. It's actually kind of a comical scene. They're like, hey, let's let these kids out.
Mhm.
And like put in a good word for us with everybody, and just let them know like we switch sides. Miles shoots some webs at them.
Right. Basically, like they let him go and then like make them promise not to fight them, not to punch them.
Yeah.
And so on his way out, Miles is like, whip, whip.
It's like fucking teens. So Viv meanwhile finds Vision. Vision basically lends an assist to get rid of the virus. And she does this by spreading it through the dreadnoughts, which are like kind of like sentinels, I guess. They are mechanical androids or constructs that automated systems, I guess. And she basically takes that virus and puts it in them, which causes them to shut down. Dr. Strange basically pulls Jane Foster through a portal, bringing her back to Earth, and then goes off to confront Chthon to cast him out of Scarlet Witch. Sam Wilson flies Jane away because this is I don't know if this was after or slightly during the Jane Foster Thor run where she's got like cancer, and so she's not doing so good because she doesn't have Mjolnir. Hydra Steve does.
Right.
And
anytime that she doesn't have Mjolnir, her cancer restarts and keeps going.
And there was a brief there, Sam Cap and her were dating briefly.
Yes.
At this point.
So he takes her away to try to get Mjolnir back. Meanwhile, on the helicarrier, Zemo goes to get the army of evil awakened from the stasis, just as Bucky shows up just in time to free T'Challa, and he kicks Zemo's ass before he can get the army up and running, which is great. Love you, Buck. Sharon, meanwhile, is being on a date with Steve. Date is in quotation marks.
A forced date.
Forced
you
date.
know what Nazis have.
Yeah, and basically is appears to have been brainwashed. Like she's doing the Hydra salute and all that. And it turns out she was just waiting for her moment to strike because she has spiked the T of Hydra Steve, spiked the T of Dr. Faustus,
right?
With a like paralyzing agent, basically. Because
the last time he took over her mind was the end of Civil War, where she shot time bullets into Steve.
Time bullets.
God, leave that one alone. I'm not going to say nothing.
God, I hate comics.
Well, everyone, this is the last episode of Rec Conversations. We've broken Leia. Next time when I find a new host, I guess.
When they're good, they're really good, but when they're bad, man, they are fucking terrible.
See also, wrestling isn't wrestling.
Amen.
Yeah. So Black Panther kind of sneaks up behind Hydra Cap and Zola while they're talking, and there is
a cat, one might say.
There is a we see that there's like a variation of Iron Man's one of the Iron Man suits that Hydra Steve is wearing, and he's wearing this in order to like use the power of the fragments of the cosmic cube. Meanwhile,
so Infinity Gauntlet.
So meanwhile, Kobik and Dream Steve are hanging out, and she restores his memories, which were her memories also, ? This cosmic cube thing is so fucking weird.
Yes. Well, this is the way I took it. In order to replace Steve with alternate Red Skull created Madam Hydra was his matron after his mom died, Steve. The consciousness of Steve and the memories and everything else had to go somewhere. Couldn't just be erased because matter does not, or energy cannot just go away. Right. So it had to go into the cube.
Okay, sure. Sounds good.
Comic books.
Comic books.
Kind of. We'll get there.
So Steve finds out, he gazes into this fountain and sees all of the shit that has gone down while he has been out trapped in this little dream world cosmic cube construct thing where he's been hanging out. And so Steve is like, look, you got to fix this. We got to get this sorted out. And Kobik, because she is a little girl, ? Just runs away because she's scared and she's upset. That's where we leave that. The Hydra helicarriers are all just destroyed. The armored, the armor suited Hydra Steve then now shows up on the steps of the Capitol building, and he is ready to go. That's how issue 9 ends. So we got one more epilogue. Okay.
Deep breath. We're almost there.
We're so close. So we open up issue 10 with Hydra Cap telling the resistance, everybody who's in the resistance, to basically quit while you're ahead. There's nothing you can do to stop me. You could join me. That's the thing you could do. But there's nothing else you could do. Hawkeye, meanwhile, is like, absolutely not. And just leads the resistance forces. Hydra Cap blasts them with his newly acquired godlike powers, which basically caused the world to be remade in Hydra's image. Meanwhile, Sam shows up, and remember, he's got that very last fragment of the cosmic cube. He's accompanied by both Scott Lang and Bucky. He gives Hydra Steve the fragment, and Hydra Steve also asks for his shield. As the final fragment is being absorbed into this armored suit, this cosmic cube reintegration is basically cut short. Winter Soldier and Ant-Man shrink down, go inside the cosmic cube, and free Dream Steve from the cosmic cube's mindscape. Okay.
How they knew to do this, no one knows.
It's so this final issue is written so terribly because it's like we just didn't know. It smacks of we didn't know how to wrap this up, so like MacGuffin, and a lot of stuff that takes place off screen. Like it's not great. So meanwhile, inside the mindscape, Dream Steve, or Original Steve, I guess now, finally kind of like manages to get a hold of Kobik, little girl Kobik, who's like in a daycare, an abandoned daycare, and he convinces her to stand up and fight back as the sky is like ripping open. Steve hears Bucky's voice and reaches for his hands, and there's a kind of a flashback panel where it is implied that was what he was trying to do the day that Bucky was strapped to the rocket that he was on, that caused him to quote unquote die. But this time he was successful, so he wasn't able to reach for Bucky then, but he's able to reach for Bucky now. There's a metaphor in here somewhere. Bucky saves him is really all you need to know, because he's great.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I'm going to say next. Get to the end.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're going to have a conversation at the end of this, Alan.
Yeah, get to the end, because there are definitely holes that need to be filled.
So, meanwhile, Hydra Cap is kind of reawakens just as Kobik and Original Steve, Real Steve, walk through like a portal.
Steve Classic.
Steve Classic.
um,
Bring back classic Coke. Give me cocaine.
So he's fully suited. Like he's basically just materialized as Captain America TM. And they fight. There's a fight. Hydra Cap again attempts to lift Mjolnir, but he can't now. But original Cap, traditional Cap, can, and he uses that to knock the piss out of him.
Because for some reason, the random like qualifications for Mjolnir say that Nazi Steve is no longer worthy.
Yeah. Comic books.
Well, the Cosmic Cube says that, from what I understand, Cosmic Cube, Kobik, now says that
that
is
makes
no
sense.
longer worthy and has been written.
So Cosmic Cube had said it could trick Mjolnir because
Cosmic
reality
Cube
warping power
has guardian physics to let Nazi Steve or Hydra Steve pick it up.
Okay.
Okay, we're almost done. Let's go.
Sure.
Well, that's the Cosmic Cube. I mean,
yep.
Fucking Cosmic Cube. So traditional Cap, original Cap,
Classic,
Cap Classic,
with cocaine,
gives the shield back to Sam, gives Mjolnir back to Jane. Kobik basically rewrites everything back to how it was supposed to be before, and everybody parties. By the end of the comic, everything is back to normal. People are building up all the wreckage.
Except there is a point where they're like, it's too bad Nat's still dead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
What the fuck? What the absolute fuck? What the fuck?
She gets
Why
better.
does this keep happening?
Gets better.
I know she gets better, but also she doesn't. It's like every time it's like, oh, we can resurrect all these dead people except for Nat for some reason. Anyways, moving on. Like, fuck. Stop doing this to my girl.
It's a proud tradition at this point.
It's like DC Comics and having an infinite crisis, or having a crisis and a Flash has to die.
Right.
Eventually, Leia, we'll sit down and we'll do an episode on who has died the most. Because I think Nat beats Jean Grey, actually.
Yeah. I mean, even the most
I'd pay to see that.
Or I should say not current, because
I'll take your money.
But the most recent run pretty much acknowledges that, like, this is a construct,
Right?
That she's been cloned like a billion times. Yeah.
Right. And any Nat you see prior to anything is always a clone or other type of construct. Like, it's just
Post Daredevil slapping her ass.
Jesus Christ.
Well, that was I actually saw what's his name, Kevin Smith at a con talking about it, and that was him working some stuff out. And everyone else was supposed to be a lot worse, and they're sort of like, no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, that's the toned down version. I'm not sure if if I'm appreciative
he
of
said it was
that.
supposed to go on for much longer in the issue. And he apologized for it.
So the brief aftermath here is there's an epilogue that kind of
There's a little epilogue to my tale of sadness. I was dragged down the street by my royal dadness. Sorry. Simpsons Sing the Blues is something that's always in the background of my head.
I mean, there could be way worse background music.
That's true.
So there's a little wrap up here where the United States is kind of coming back to terms with itself. There is a high security prison known as Shadow Pillar, and that is where Hydra Cap is being kept. He is the only inmate at this high security prison. Again, I really need to state here is I do not understand why he wasn't just murked.
Yeah.
Why is he
you actually never really existed.
Yeah.
So you're not actually really a person.
Right.
So cap in the back of your head.
Yes. That should have happened. It didn't for inexplicable reasons.
What inexplicable reasons? The Joker's still alive.
That's fair.
First of all, different universe. Second of all, Peacemaker pointed out
is still alive.
Right. No. Oh, yeah, and ran shit for a while. But every time you kill the Green Goblin, he just comes back anyway.
Yeah.
So
if you killed Cap, he would just come back anyway when they decided they wanted to bring him back.
And
this Cap fight.
Yeah, and the Joker was pretty much like Hydra because you killed him and 3 more appeared.
Well, now, yeah.
That's
actually really fun.
See our future episode on 3 Jokers.
I promise not to yell loudly on the internet at that one. I actually really liked it. All right.
It actually was pretty good, but
yeah.
So wrapping up,
too late.
The classic Cap shows up at this prison to like talk to Nazi Cap, and Nazi Cap is like, well, technically, legally, I didn't do any of these crimes because I don't really exist, LOL, which is just stupid. It's so fucking dumb. Cap's like, no, traditional Cap is like, hey, we'll still find you accountable. You'll pay for everybody you killed and all the property you destroyed and so on and so forth. Black Widow has a funeral in this, so that's nice. It's nice that she got a funeral. Unlike other places, which she didn't.
I was about to say, did everyone show up to her funeral? Were there every person, even the obscure character from like a second movie or a third movie that no one knew who they were until they Googled it? Like, were they really that into it?
Yeah, it seemed pretty heavily attended. Hawkeye is pretty upset. Meanwhile, Winter Soldier is watching the funeral on television because he is currently on a mission to track down a Hydra general. However,
that's why they never worked out.
While this is happening, he goes to murk the general, and somebody gets to him first. A sniper from somewhere takes him out, and of course Bucky's like, that can only be one person. This has to be
Ned.
Yeah. It has to be Ned. I don't know where in the timeline, because there are a couple books where Hawkeye and Bucky team up, and
after this.
Yeah.
It was just after this.
Okay.
Because
the follow books.
Yeah, you can go back in our history, Leia, when I sent you the cover for the first comic of this, where I was like, "Hey, it's Bucky and it's Bucky and Hawkeye looking for Nat."
Yeah, it's great. I have it. I'm actually staring directly at the book on my bookshelf right now. I love it. Yeah. That's the kind of shit I do like. So that's good. I'm glad
you can't have that shit without this. This has to. This is the fertilizer to get that.
This is literally the shit that you have to spread around your garden.
I know.
Grow.
I just want everyone to be happy and have a nice time.
But that's not comic books.
So, okay, so yeah, so he thinks that might still be alive. Spoiler alert, she is, because
clones.
Her clones, her heart will go on, etc.
Not anymore, but yeah.
And meanwhile, in New Tian, the buildings are being demolished. The army is in the streets. Emma is not happy about this and wants to declare war on the U.S. But Beast is like, "Hey, look, we can't do this."
It was a good run.
Yeah.
Poor mutants.
And Emma's like, well, nobody's gonna remember what I've done here, whatever. So that sets up, what is that?
Well, because no one knew she was the actual leader,
right? And that sets up the opening for God, what comes after New Tian in the failed mutant homeland litany?
House of X, Powers of X. It takes a few years.
Yeah,
because there's also all of the next big event is the King in Black space shit, which eventually I'm sure we'll do. But there's a bunch of space Marvel for a long time, but the next time the X-Men really get their own thing is House of X, Powers of X, which we've covered on the show, which actually, while weird, is a really interesting direction. And actually, tune in further, Jen will chime in on this when we do our Hellfire Gala fashion show.
Oh, it's gonna be sick.
With
That's right.
With Joe Witkowski later this season. Our only video cast.
Yeah,
big ass hat.
Put that one visuals because some of those costumes are ridiculous.
Yes, yeah, that will be our
But
only
it also has
our
one of
only
the best
visual
scenes.
show.
It's also got one of the best Cap scenes ever with Cap and Dr. Doom staring down each other and Emma Frost coming up to tell him to behave.
Well,
Emma
to
Frost
give
is the best.
to give a little bit, I agree, Emma Frost is the best. But to get a little bit of the store away, we are doing not only 2021's Hellfire Gala, but 2022's as well. So we have a fierce queen in Joe Witkowski with us. We have Jen. We have Leia. I will be emceeing because I am a straight white dude and have no business talking about fashion.
It'll be great.
It'll be a good time.
It'll be great.
But yes,
So,
that was Secret Empire.
Yeah, and I mean that's it. And like basically, so the wrap up on the wrap up is that you know, as Cap is walking away and Nazi Cap is being, I guess, collected by the guards to go back into his cell. One of the guards whispers "Hail Hydra" into his ear, and like, "LOL, isn't it cute? There's still Nazis out there. You'll never defeat Hydra. Haha. Anyways, this was pointless. Bye." That's the end. That's the end of the fucking book. I hate it.
So, Alan,
terrible.
Before anything else, yeah. I just want to jump in real quick because I have the one question that I wanted to ask since the beginning. Now that you've heard all of this, at the beginning you were like, "Oh, it just seemed like an innocuous, random fucking Captain America story." Do you have a different perspective now at the end of this?
Yeah, this is way more torture to live than I thought it was going to be.
Good answer.
Very good answer.
Circle gets the square.
However, because I'm me, I regret nothing.
See, if I bring you Portillo's again, you jerk.
No, I can just drive to LA and get it.
Whatever. It's not sourced properly.
I make sure I'm protected before I do things.
So I do want to take a second to discuss Nick Spencer at the end of this. Like,
yeah, I totally want to discuss Nick Spencer, and I totally want to discuss some of the stuff that led to it. But go ahead, you start. You're
absolutely
from Ohio, so you're all that flyover. Then Bendis is from Ohio.
This is a whole thing that I looked into. On obviously, this comic does not reflect the values and opinions of anyone in the Graphically Novel LLC universe.
Or our friends or family.
Right, universe. Like the WWE universe.
Whatever.
The galaxy. You want to taste?
The AEW galaxy.
Yes.
Yeah, the multiverse even.
Yes. Nick Spencer ran for Cincinnati City Council in 2005, and I have pulled up his platform that I will go over. His first one was to hire more police.
Boo.
His second one was basically to crack down on quality of life crimes, which other people will call broken window policing strategies, which is basically you lower murders if you then lower drug dealing, prostitution, car break-ins, theft, and curfew violations.
Boo.
So his thought, this is a Rudy Giuliani policy, by the way.
Boo.
Wanted to use CompStat, which was the way that Rudy Giuliani invented to crack down on these policies, and wanted to beef up police surveillance. Neighborhood safety is what he called them. He wanted to expand jailing capacity. He wanted to totally defund social services.
Oh,
absolutely.
Fuck that guy.
And he was running as a Democrat.
Yes. He wanted to displace squatters.
Boo.
He wanted to use eminent domain to relocate homeless shelters and services out of the neighborhoods where he lived and worked.
Fuck a whole lot of that.
There was a bunch of gentrification efforts and racist blogging. Yeah, basically there was a local shootout that, by the way, was done by a bunch of white dudes that on the radio he blamed on a black radio station owner and a rap song.
Yep.
Yeah, no, he's a piece of shit. Like he is one of the, like nowadays. Actually in 2005 he claimed to be Republican. He was running on a Republican.
Oh, yeah.
Nowadays he claims to be Democrat. No, I'm sorry. No. Nope. Not everyone deserves celebrity. Not everyone deserves high-profile jobs. Go and write fucking textbooks. No, not even textbooks. Don't do that. Technical
Blog.
manuals for all I fucking care.
Yeah, just blog.
Yeah, just somehow get money off of blogging. Recirculate Nazi money. The other thing is there was a large and profound effort by Marvel and Nick Spencer during this to separate Hydra from Nazi.
Yeah, and even though it's interesting too, because I remember when this was going down, there are actual panels in this comic where there are swastikas and all that. Like,
yep.
There is no separation between Hydra and the Nazis. I mean,
Right.
they're literally like the MacGuffin here was supposed to, if it fell into, if the completed, MacGuffin was able to be obtained by the Hydra side, they were literally going to make sure that the Nazis won. That is not a typo.
Right. That's not separating these two ideologies. And in 2017, it wasn't acceptable. It's even more unacceptable 5 years later. But
2017, it was totally. I mean,
well,
what was happening at the time, it was even more of a hotbed.
Right. 2017, we were a year into the Trump presidency, and so these behaviors were forgiven for a time. And even to the fact that as of today, which is June 12th, 2022, there have still been no big consequences for the people that incited the riot on January 6th.
Yeah.
So, there are hearings, but the hearings can't actually indict people. Like, the hearings can't actually put people in jail.
I think it's also important to point out too that in 2017, that was like right after, so the MCU was in kind of a really golden age. The Civil War II had just come out and all this other stuff, and it was very successful. And the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was an ongoing series, and there was a lot of, this is really fucking disgusting because there was a lot of like Hydra merch that was being sold, and in the MCU, Hydra and the Nazis are the same thing. They are explicitly illustrated as such, and this comic took a lot from the MCU. Like there was a lot of MCU informed writing in the course of this comic, and so like if you want to be really cynical about it, it was a great way to sell tongue-in-cheek Hydra merch, essentially as dog whistles, and I don't like that shit at all.
Yeah, and I will admit, I did get pulled into that because Loot Crate had these Hydra pins, and they have a whole thing where they get rid of their excess merchandise. And so I bought like 10 Hydra pins at like $2 a piece, and I put one on my jacket as I had it over like an Assassin's Creed pin and my Daddy Fieri, Guy Fieri, pin on my jacket. But I walked into a place and somebody was like, "Oh, is that Nazi thing?" And I was like, "Oh shit!" And like immediately
Josh
took it off my
found
jacket.
out.
Yeah.
Secret politics were suddenly revealed to the world.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I was like,
we all suspected.
Way to get your revenge, adversary. But yeah, it was just one of those things that it took. Like, because I was like, oh, I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I did not read this storyline until we had to do it for this show.
Yeah.
For good reason. So my experience with
you were like, Johann Schmidt had some good ideas.
Yeah, the closest I ever got is I made a YouTube video after there was an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where there was a dude that was a student of the Red Skull. And so I have my apple peeler machine that makes the apples into like slices and takes the skin off. And I did this whole thing about I was a student of Red Delicious. And I'm like slowly like peel the skin and like do the thing. Like it was a whole parody, but I'm like, yeah, no, this is Nazi shit. We're there is no saving the whole Hydra, idea. Like this is Nazi stuff. If you have a problem with X-Men, they're perfectly good Inhumans, I guess. If you have problems,
that's it.
If you have problems with Hydra, there's a perfectly good AIM.
Well, at this point, AIM was Avengers Idea Mechanics because what's his Sunspot had taken it over. So
right.
Nick Spencer, politics aside, I mean, he wrote this book called Morning Glories, which is actually pretty good, but it came out at the same time as Deadly Class and Umbrella Academy.
Sure.
And again, it was like hey, this is a secret school for teens with powers, drama going on. And it was like one of the things that I was realizing as Leia was doing the recap is that he is just a really bad Brian Michael Bendis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because to give you the context, and this is the context for Leia, Kobik wasn't actually created by him. It was, I think, Jason Aaron, and it was in like a free comic book day. And yeah, it was a fragment of the Cosmic Cube that manifested as this little girl. And the Pleasant Hill No Surrender storyline that came beforehand was pretty much a ripoff of DC's Identity Crisis.
Yeah.
In which Maria Hill and S.H.I.E.L.D. was using Kobik to rewrite supervillains and erase their memories and turn them into good people and keeping them in Pleasant Hill. And that's included a sea-level villain called the Trapster, being a groundskeeper called Willie.
Oh my God.
I shit you not. And,
okay, I'll allow it.
all right.
Quiet, boy! You want to get sued?
Yeah. And so the whole Pleasant Valley thing was Baron Zemo and a bunch of other villains waking up and realizing that, Hill and S.H.I.E.L.D. had used this mind control power to rewrite their lives, and in some cases actually changed them into animals. I think one was changed into a dog, and Tiger Shark cleverly was turned into a tiger shark.
What is Maria Hill not fucking up?
Oh, well, by Nick
Whenever
Fury's
there's not a major event going on, we've covered this on this show. The first step of making a major, Marvel event is Maria Hill is somehow a fucking villain.
And then S.H.I.E.L.D. is also completely fucking inept and riddled with infiltrators.
Yes.
And then Nat dies.
Yeah.
And then Nat dies. Yeah, there's a formula. We found your formula, Marvel. In order to take down this episode, please send $5 million to the five of us.
Yeah. So Kobik was part of this whole deal because, she's being used to do it. Baron Zemo eventually gets his sort of hands on her. This is when Cap was an old man after the whole Zola world storyline, which was also kind of too long and pointless. And she looks at Cap and says, "You're not who you are." And she makes him young, and he kicks Zemo's ass. And at the end, it's revealed that the secret mastermind behind it all along was Red Skull. And he was the one who did that to Kobik to do that to Captain America, which is where it later retconned that. I don't know. I don't know if it was intentional, but Hydra Cap, when she makes Cap young again, that's when it becomes Hydra Cap. Now, the question is, did Hydra Cap was meant to be a time-changed Cap, and they later retconned it, so no real Cap was just stuck in a different dimension, or did they pull like a Spider-Man Clone Wars and just, oh crap, everyone hates this, let's give us an out. And that Hydra Cap was never really Cap. Here's our real Cap.
Yeah, I genuinely think it was the latter instead of the former.
Yeah. And that's where I think he's a bad Bendis, because he's stealing from other books, he's stealing from DC storylines, and he's trying to be oh, look at me, look at how I set up this multi-year, multi-part storyline through 6 different comics and 6 years or whatever.
And but it's super edgy, guys.
What's that?
I said, and it's super edgy, guys.
Exactly. But the real villain is Bucky. At the end of this whole No Surrender storyline, Bucky starts the Thunderbolts, and Kobik is part of the team. Okay. So he could have stopped her at any point or kept track of her at any point, but failed to do so, and in fact got himself fake killed. So listen, I'm going to blame Bucky for this.
This podcast, we do not allow anyone to disparage James Buchanan Barnes, Cinnamon Roll, light of my life.
I know.
Yo, I just hate
I was just
all
sitting
of
there in
this.
the pocket for the final.
If I could just,
it's actually pretty good. But there's the hints are also there that Kobik has fucked up somehow, and she's responsible for the Steve that we are seeing not being real Steve.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, and again, the fact that Secret Empire doesn't give you any of this context is just terribly lazy writing.
It is. It really is.
I will say, the one part that I was talking about how I loved the Kingpin and the whole Darkhold part does pay off, because Fisk does become mayor of New York due to this. But
was that directly after this, or was that? I thought there was another.
Yes, it is directly after this.
Okay.
After Hydra's defeat, Wilson Fisk is able to use a subsequent election to put himself forward as a last-minute candidate to become mayor of New York City.
Still better than Giuliani.
Right? Yeah. So, and then he goes, like, as the mayor, he then goes to Washington and testifies on all the heroes that he has the identities of.
Shit.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff leads to something that we will be doing later this season, which is Dark Reign. Yeah, it's there are good things that came out of this. I do believe that Alan nailed it when he said this was the fertilizer that had to be laid down for the garden of future stories to kind of bloom.
But I mean, also a lot of it gets sort of, wiped out with Secret Wars, right?
Also true. Yeah.
Man, this was an excruciating experience. I did not relish it. I always enjoy talking to Alan, so that part I enjoyed. But man, reading this book sucked balls. Like, it was so bad.
Yeah, it was rough. But on the bright side, we're doing less rough stuff than we did the first two seasons.
Yeah.
In my defense, I forgot Nat died in this one. I came about like 5 minutes into Leia's recap. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Whoops.
She dies in like every run, so I'm not really shocked by it anymore.
She made it through Infinity Gauntlet, but that's just because she was sitting around saying, hey, we're not one of the super powered ones, so we don't get to do anything.
So, Alvin, I've checked in with you on your feelings. Jen and Bear, you have sat in on this. How you doing?
Thanks, I hated it.
Were you here? You were here for the train wreck, Jen. Was it enough of a train wreck?
Well, I wanted a train wreck, and I got a train wreck.
You sure did, pal.
Wow. Yeah, this was more than I expected.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't even read it.
No.
I was expecting,
and I will not.
I was expecting real bad, and I'm not going to go anywhere near this.
Yeah.
This is terrible continuity and terrible little context, out of character actions, the height of bad sequential comic storytelling.
Well, and just tone deaf.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially for the time that it was coming out.
I was sitting here thinking, in the back of my head, I'm like, I wonder if the guy that wrote this had any influence from the whole, Jar Jar Binks as a Sith Lord. like that whole, idiotic, conspiracy theory. And I'm like, you think that's maybe where some of that, and then after hearing you guys talk about it more and more, and then hearing about his platform and stuff like that, it's like, no, he's just a Nazi.
Yep.
Yeah, I at one point, so I took most of my Saturday to read this, and I'm actually a pretty fast reader, so this shouldn't have taken me as long as it did, but it took me like a full 8 hours to read because I kept getting up and doing stuff.
Anything else?
Like literally anything else. At one point, I just decided to start doing the dishes.
Oh, you experienced what Bear did during Dark Phoenix.
Yeah. Dark Phoenix and almost as much during Peacemaker. It was real bad. I just, anything else I could find to do. It's like, I haven't vacuumed the house and
Dark Phoenix the movie or Dark Phoenix the storyline?
Both.
Yes.
Dark Phoenix the movie, if you listen to our episode, just kind of slid off my mind. I watched it 3 times. I couldn't tell you a single fucking thing that happened in it.
I remember one scene.
Sit all the way through it. I will start it and say, okay, this is it. I'm going to finally watch it. And then 10 minutes in, I'm like, what else is on?
The thing you have to understand. Yeah,
I'm a big fan of the comic, but
the thing you have to understand about my graphically novel co-hosts is they were not traditional comic book people. So going back to a 1970s comic,
not just 1970s Claremont.
Yeah, yeah, is
many
rough.
words.
Yeah,
So many
he
words.
drove us up the wall.
Yeah, it's rough.
Drove us up the wall too, but then we got Scott Lobdell, and it was just like, bring back Claremont.
Well, Alan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This
I
was
will not apologize.
Nor would I expect you to, sir. Please join us in 2 weeks, everyone, when it's my turn again at the wheel, because we are doing X-Men Holy War.
Yay! I don't get to do the X-Men. Hooray!
Yay!
Oh, yeah. Religion and X-Men. What could go wrong?
Do we have another theologian as the guest?
No. This guest is Kyle Slack.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we might want to be there for that one.
We'll see.
But until then, take it away, Vandello.
A little wreck conversation, some deep reactions, please. All this comics narration alienating me. A little more talk, a lot less read. A little fight, baby, is what I need. Close the trade, open up your brains. Explain it to me. Explain it to me, baby. Explain it to me. Explain it to me, baby. Explain it to me. Vandello 2021.